Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, $10 million on the line in the Dubai World Cup, 1.25 miles at Meydan. Gigantic card, obviously, in the Middle East. The stories arrogate. He's 1-3 as we take a look at the PPs. He's as deserving as odds-on favor as you're ever going to find.
Right. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, he's obviously going to be a huge favorite in this race. He is. He's so lightly raced. He's only 7 career starts, but he's a world-class dirt horse against some horses who, let's just say they aren't world-class.
As we take a look at the field for the Dubai World Cup, he's eclipsed California Chrome twice on the racetrack. He has the opportunity to eclipse him as North America's leading money earner, and he's just been a remarkable revelation. I mean, he just emerged from nowhere to win the Travers, basically, then was a tremendous winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic, and what can you say about his Pegasus World Cup? He showed up with yet another big performance. Listen, he's way the horse to be. Could you make the argument that travel, no Lasix, etc.? I mean, these are kind of weak arguments considering the kind of powerhouse Arrogate has been.
Right, I guess those are the things that you're going to worry about if you're deciding to bet him at a short price. I personally don't really see any reason to be trying to beat him in this race. He's a very, if he's not a great horse, he's a very, very good horse. And it's just going to be very interesting to see what he does Saturday and then what he does from there.
Let's discuss the rest of the field in post-position order. The number 1 is Apollo Kentucky, who won a Grade 1 race in Japan on December the 29th. Last time out, he ran just fine. He was tracking 3 wide. He was 3 wide around both turns, and he was just better than those horses. This is an interesting horse in that he seems to run well fresh. There was a little bit of controversy surrounding him following that last win, and there was sort of a positive test on this horse, and the trainer was fine. So he's going to have to deal with Arrogate now, coming off of a long layoff. But his form has been sneaky good in his last couple of races.
His form is good overall on the main track, especially. And I think the thing that you like about him most of all, not only that he wins races, because he does win races, distance is no problem for him.
And Christophe Lemaire, his jockey, one of the leading riders in Japan last year. The number 2 is Long River, who once upon a dream ran 3rd in the Jockey Club Gold Cup way back in 2014. He finally got a win last time out on March the 4th. He beat 4 of these horses in the Maktoum Challenge round 3. A lot of folks believe that day you needed to be on the lead and on the rail, and Long River pulled off the upset utilizing those tactics.
Right, it just feels like, I mean, something had to happen there for him to just turn his form around so completely. Listen, he was a good horse over here when Kieran had him. He never quite panned out stateside as a real graded stakes horse, but he was pretty good. I don't know, his form since he got over there. Save the last one. I mean, you put a line through that last one. How can you like him?
Number 3 is Gold Dream. He's by the prolific Japanese dirt stallion Gold Allure. He's very lightly raced. This is only going to be start number 10. He got a Grade 1 win last time out in his first start as a 4-year-old. You can argue that this horse is one of the horses in the race with perhaps the most upside potential, but do you like him better at shorter distances than the 1.25 miles?
Yeah, I have no argument with his upside because I think he does have some of that, and his overall form is he's another Japanese horse with overall very good form. Distance, a pretty big question.
The Mercurial Lani, the number 4, won the UAE Derby last year and ran quite well, all things considering, in the American Triple Crown Series, 3rd in the Belmont Stakes with a late kick. But he's a little bit of a nut job. He has not run well since returning to Japan from the Belmont, and his race in the Meydan, in the Al Maktoum Challenge, if you want to say he was up against the racetrack that day, fine, but he didn't run at all.
Right, he didn't run a step. We know Lonnie pretty well from the Triple Crown Series last year. If he beats Arrogate, they're probably going to have to retire Arrogate.
Gun Runner is a very good horse in his own right. Buyers of 110, 111 in his last 2 races. I think 1.25 miles is pushing it just a bit for Gun Runner. I think he's much improved now as a 4-year-old than when he faced Arrogate and was beaten 15 lengths. And a very good effort from Gun Runner, amazingly enough, in the Travers. The argument can be made, though, that Arrogate's better, too.
Right, I think that's probably true. I don't know about him at 1.25 miles. I'm a little worried about it, but he deserves the chance, a couple more chances at it this year, because he improved throughout his 3-year-old year, and his last 2 races are both giant. Now, I know he was supposed to win both times, especially that last one at Oaklawn. He was pretty impressive in that race. So this is a good horse.
The number 6, Move Up, was in very good form on turf towards the end of last year as a 3-year-old. He won a group race in Turkey. He then won a race at Royal Ascot, a Group 3, 2 starts back. And if you want to make the argument for him, maybe he was up against the track last time out. I think that's a fair excuse for him.
I agree.
The problem is, from a class standpoint, he seems just a little bit up against it.
Right. I think I can give him the excuse for the last one, but there's really no evidence that this horse is going to be better on dirt or even as good on dirt as he is on turf.
Awar Deeb perhaps best known as Lonnie's older brother to racing fans here in North America. But you know something? He's carved out quite a reputation for himself as arguably one of the better older runners in Japan over the last couple of years. I mean, you look at his last, 9 starts. He had a 7-race win streak snapped in the Champions Cup. He ran second last time out in the Tokyo Daisho 10 behind Apollo Kentucky. He's a nice, honest horse who, again, isn't a little tough.
Yeah, he had a nice little win streak going there. All those, sort of lesser races where he was supposed to win, short prices right along. They stepped him up for his last 2. He didn't run poorly, but he didn't win either time.
Furia Cruzada is a mare taking on the boys. She ran an okay third last time out behind Long River over that biased track. Took down a former okay North American horse in Second Summer, 2 starts back in a Group 2. I think she's got a little bit of ability. Maybe she's the kind of horse that finishes 4th or 5th and picks up a nice check for the owners.
Right, she just looks like she's in pretty tough.
Arrogate is the beast. He's won 6 of 7. He's won 6 in a row. His Beyer speed figures speak for themselves. What are the tactics Mike Smith's going to use in here? Breaking from post 9, I assume? You just let this horse get into a rhythm and get him in the clear.
Probably want to keep him in the clear for as long as he can. He didn't get to do that last time in that Pegasus because he had the rail, but he was pretty comfortable tracking in behind. This horse, he has plenty of natural speed. I think he'll be sort of up close, maybe in that second flight and on the outside.
Keen Ice, of course, best known for upsetting Triple Crown winner American Pharoah in the 2015 Travers. He has not won a race since then.
Right. And
you recall last year in the Dubai World Cup, I know they put blinkers on that day. He just never seemed comfortable. He didn't seem to like the racetrack, and I just wonder, even if he's at his best, it's hard-pressed to see him beating Arrogate. I'm just not sure he likes this track.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a race that's good enough to beat. If Arrogate shows up, and even if Gunrunner shows up, this horse doesn't have a race that's good enough to beat them. I liked him in this race last year. I was wrong. He was terrible. I don't like him this year.
Todd Pletcher will try to do it from the back of the pack with Keen Ice and maybe up close, if not outright on the lead, with the number 11 Neolithic, who ran quite well last time out in the Pegasus World Cup. Considering he is so lightly raced, he just wasn't in Arrogate's league. I guess the plan for Johnny V is to get to the front, back down the fractions, and hope Arrogate doesn't show up.
Right, you're going to have to hope that horse doesn't fire. Neolithic, I'm a fan. I think he's a pretty good horse. I don't know how much better things get for him at 10 furlongs. I don't know how far he really wants to go, and he proved last time he's no match for Arrogate.
Opportunity is a cool horse. He's the other horse from the Baffert barn. It's amazing to say that. He's banked $4 million in his own right. He was third in this race, last year, and he just took down a nice horse, More Spirit, last time out in the San Antonio. That horse came back to fire a 105 Beyer in winning the Essex on the Rebel Stakes undercard. I think the plan here is for Flavian Pratt just to take him back, make one run, and try to get a big piece of the pie, while they don't expect him to beat his stablemate.
That's exactly right. He's a good horse. He'll be making one run from the back of this field trying to get a piece. I would use him underneath.
How about Special Fighter? He was 4th in this race last year. Was not embarrassed at all.
No, he ran
behind
fine.
California Chrome. In last race, off the gigantic layoff, he was up against the track. He ran second to Long River. I think you can make the argument that he's probably going to run a lot better in his second start of the form cycle. It's a pattern that's worked well for him in the past. Whether he classes up with Arrogate's another story. He doesn't draw very well on the outside, but he's rounding into form. He's an okay horse.
Yeah, it feels like this was probably the plan all along. Get him the one prep point for this race. He ran fine last year. He'll have to do better than that.
So Lonnie won the UAE Derby in 2016. Mubtahij won the race in 2015. And Mubtahij went on to do some okay things in North America. He was second in the Woodward last year, just missing behind Shaman Ghost, finishing ahead of Frosted. He's been a little bit disappointing, though. A horse that's kind of never reached his reputation, at least on paper. He's only had one race this year, second against weaker company. We're not fans of this horse, and he's going to actually be somewhat of a middling price.
Yeah, right. You know how I feel about him. I just don't think he's any good, and I would never bet him.
But this is his track. We know he likes it, and maybe he liked it last time out. All right, time for our selections in the Dubai World Cup, race number 9. Here, well, wait a minute. Well, I'm picking Apollo Kentucky, but let me preface.
Go ahead.
I don't want to lose a lot of money betting against Arrogate. My pick is more along the lines of, again, you don't need me to tell you that Arrogate's the most likely winner. I think, though, Apollo Kentucky's horse you could use in exotics underneath and maybe sort of brighten up the payouts in a bet like the exact or the trifecta. He's 30 to 1 on the line. He should be 50 to 1 in our North American pools. No one's ever heard of him. Listen, Arrogate's the horse to beat. I don't want to spend anything more than a flyer trying to beat him. I do think Apollo Kentucky was in pretty decent form, but you think it's showtime for Arrogate?
Yeah, I'm just not betting against him.
I can understand why. If you are playing the Saturday cards, whether it's in Meydan, whether it's at Turfway Park, whether it's at Sunland on Sunday, we've got coast-to-coast, wall-to-wall racing, and if you sign up to DRF Bets, you get a $300 bonus right now at drf.com/trifecta. Approximate post time for Arrogate's run in the $10 million Dubai World Cup, race number 9 at Meydan, 12:45 Eastern. Best of luck.